Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well and Happy New Year. First time back in the new year of 2021, and I hope everybody is doing well. We all made it through, so congratulations for that. We have a few things happening this week, so I just thought I'd pop in and give the rundown of what the transits are, but I also will come back later on and do sort of a yearly overview of what we're going to expect for the year, some things that times of the year that we can look into and see, what the energy is showing. Because we have some interesting aspects happening this year. The other thing I wanted to say is I have lots coming. I've got a new project coming that is going to start sort of the end of January. I'll give more details on that as we get closer to January, but it's actually something I'm really excited about. And I think it's a year-long project that I'm going to be working on. And it's going to give a lot more information about just more human design and things about your sun, where your sun is for your human design, for your body graph and that type of thing. So I think it'll be a great way to even learn more about who you are, because I think that for 2021, we all have goals. And my goal is just to get you guys to even to find out even more why human design is good for you, why it helps you in your life. And I'm going to try and give as many tools as I can, because ultimately that is my journey or mission in this life, is to get human design out there so that people can actually use it in their lives and just have a better setup of how you are in relationships, how you are on your own, things that trip you up, parts of you that you may not necessarily see, but with human design, you get to start to see more of who you are. And I think that that is one of the most important things. It's like when we know ourselves, we can really start to see ourselves from almost like an outside view, looking at ourselves and things that we're doing and things that we're saying, and maybe they're not in our best interest. But when we get that little snapshot of what it looks like and what we're doing, we can start to shift that behavior or those things that maybe are not in our best interest, and just get the best that we can in our lives. So we've got a few things happening this week, and I will come again next week. That's going to be something we're going to do in 2021 for certain, is I'm going to do the weekly transits, so you'll know what the energy is going to look like for the week. I am going to add in the earth as well as the sun, which I don't normally do, but I thought, why not just give it a little bit more of a rounded feel so that we can get the energies of everything that's happening. So let's get started into the transits for this week. Now, the transit is going to go from the 4th of January, which is today, onward, to about the 10th or 11th. But I will be back again, as I said, next week for the next round of transits. So today, January 4th, when I brought this up, these are the transits that are happening right now. I'm not going to really talk about the 38 or the 39, because what's happening right now is that energy is going to be moving out within the next 24 hours. So it's kind of useless to talk about it, and then it's going to change anyhow. So basically, I'm just going to move on to what the energy will be tomorrow. You see a lot of the things are changed. And finally, we're getting to see that Jupiter and Saturn they've finished their last pass on the gate 60, and now they're in new territory. So let's get into the transits. Within the next 24 hours, the sun is going to be in the gate 54. Now, when we talk about the sun, we really do talk about the health of the community of everybody, basically. It's the energy, it's a warm energy, and it's an energy that's sort of shining its light on all of us and giving us some hints of what's happening in our world. It can also talk about the leaders of countries and world leaders, that type of thing, and what might be happening with them in their lives. So within the 24 hours, the sun is going to be in the gate 54, which is tomorrow. This is all about ambition, drive, and a talent to make money, to climb the ladder, to hold on to what you have. There can be a competition with this. And if you look at this horse, you see the horse is ambitious, it's running forward, and in the background, you have all these horses trying to catch it, but it wants to stay ahead. It's a really interesting energy, because this is the energy of, if you look at the I Ching, the hexagram 54, it was about a concubine who rose to be an empress in China. So it really is coming from below and rising to a level of influence. And so this is what we might see in the energy is people just grabbing onto, hanging on to ambition. Now, the high side of this is everybody wins. You kind of, this hooks into the gate 32, which is all about endurance. And so this is really great for making money, like doing things that are building something. So you're getting ahead in life and you're slowly sort of building yourself up. Now, the other side is you're getting ahead in life, but you're basically mowing people down as you get ahead in life. And these are the energies that we might see for the next couple of days. We might see people in positions of power who are just doing whatever they can, mowing down whoever they want or whoever they need to, whoever stands in their way, so that they can maintain the power, so that they can maintain what they have at the cost of whatever it takes. Or the other thing is, like I said, the high side is to, have this integrity of wanting to build your dynasty or build your dreams or build your future, but building it in a way that you're not burning bridges. You're actually taking people along with you. The problem with ambition is when it goes out of control, and it's just this whole idea that you get this anxiety that someone's going to try and take what you have. It gets to the point where you literally can keep building your tower to where you want to go, but then once you get where you are, literally you're by yourself, because you've already, you've cut everybody that mattered out of your life, because it was so important for you to get this thing filled, or this ambition finished, that you just lost everybody in the process. So that's the energy that we're going to be feeling for the next couple of days. Then it's going to move on January 11th. It's like we're going to go back now. This is not an unfamiliar energy. We've seen this. Pluto remains in this energy in the gate 61, and it really is this idea of trying to figure out those things that we just don't know. So again, we could get back into what are the answers, what are the things we need to know, who knows stuff and isn't really telling us what's going on. There's a lot of thinking here, and it can be something that is all about really new and innovative ideas coming out, but there's also this idea that you can get caught in your thoughts, this conspiracy concerns, and we could hear about people talking about conspiracies and that type of thing, because that was a big, push in 2020, and this is kind of like the remnants of it, because the sun will go through this and it won't come again until another cycle, which will be next year at this time. The sun is always going to be in the same area every year, so this is an energy that we know will always come back around this time, like, which is January 11th or thereabouts. But again, it's about getting out of your head, understanding that maybe people don't have the information that you need, and that just grabbing at anything that comes your way is not necessarily in your best interest. But what you can do is try and wait for the real answers to come to you, or the answers that are given to you, because usually the answers that are given when you're not always pushing and looking and searching for those answers, a lot of times things will just drop in your lap, and those are the real answers, the truth that you really are looking for. So those are the energies that we're talking about for the next couple of days. And I think this goes right into, I think maybe the 14th or thereabouts, or maybe the 15th. The Earth right now is in the gate 39, as I said, which is provocation. But now within the next 24 hours, it is going to move into the gate 53. This is a big, powerful energy, and it only comes once a year through with the sun. So we might see, this is all about grounding. So what are we grounded in? We're grounded in the idea of starting new things, beginning new projects, starting a new cycle. So yes, we are starting a new cycle. We start a new cycle. Again, the Earth is much like the sun. It begins the same place in the mandala every year, like right around now. So this is an energy that is consistent every year. So every year, and it really does make a lot of sense. We have all these New Year's resolutions. We have all these ideas of all the things we want to do. When the holidays are over, I want to start this, I want to do that, the other thing. And that's all good and well. But remember that if we're talking about human design, it may be in your best interest to understand that this energy that you feel to start things may not necessarily be fully ripened, in other words. So in other words, if you're a manifesting generator or a generator type, and you're out there initiating things without anything to respond to, these new things that you're starting may not necessarily look the way you want them to look. If you're a projector out there, not waiting for acknowledgement, and you're starting things, and nobody's really giving you any, like, yeah, you'd be great for this, or something like that. It may fall flat, and you may feel as if, what's the point? And then there, you can get into this cycle of not feeling good. If you're a manifester and you are not tapping into that energy that is sort of guiding you, that bigger thing than you, and guiding you to say, okay, yes, this is the right thing to start. You could be out there just doing all these things, and it really isn't working to your advantage. I mean, I know a lot of manifestors, I mean, that might be one of the hardest things to find out. What exactly do I need to start? What is going to work to my advantage? What is going to make my life better? Or the lives of other people, if that's what you're going for. The question is, what do you have? Well, a lot of people use astrology. There's a lot of manifestors that find astrology is a wonderful tool, because it is the movement of the planets. It's much bigger than you. And so you can sort of go with that. You could look at the transits of human design. You could do any kind of divination. You could do meditation. You could do spiritual work. You could do anything. But when you find that particular thing that actually works for you, it is to your advantage. And then the things you want to initiate, the things that you want to start, will go a little bit better, or a lot better, based on what exactly is happening in, with the flow of everything. The other thing is if you're a reflector, it really is about feeling out your community. What does your community feel like? Tapping into energy. You do have your moon cycle as well, but tapping into the energy of your community. What does it feel like? Does it feel healthy? Does it feel unhealthy? Are these new beginnings going to be helpful for the community? Because ultimately, when they're happy, you're happy. And so that's why it matters, is that the community is healthy. So these are the kind of things that we want to look at before we start something new. But if you're any of these types, and you've gotten the signs, you've gotten the invitation or the acknowledgement, you've gotten something to respond to, you've looked at the transits of the astrology, or you've done some meditation and it works well, or your community is ready for what you have to give, then yeah, go ahead, start it up. But that's just something to think about. Gate 53 is extremely powerful because it's a root energy. So when we start anything from this, it's a cycle, in which it's like you get on a treadmill, you get on that program, you type it in, and you literally don't get off until it's completed. And that's what this energy is all about. So what are you willing to go right through till the cycle is completed? What are you willing to put the time and effort in to make things come into being? And what are you willing to, because the thing is when this energy is not correct, you're basically just planting things and you're never tending to the seedlings. You're just planting a bunch of seeds and you're just never going back to see that those seeds are growing, to make sure that they have what they need, to thin them out if there's too many of them, to give them water, to give them fertilization, to make sure they're in their sunny spot, to have a really good beginning. That's the way that it needs to happen. So that's something to think about. And on January 11th, the Earth is going to go into the Gate 62. The Gate 62 is all about taking the opinions that we hear, or those ideas, or these hypotheses, or all the things that people are saying, we should do this, we should do that. And it's saying, okay, let's slim it all down and figure out what can we really bring into this, world? What can we really make happen given these circumstances? So these are the energies that we're talking about. And it's a real practical expression of the energy of telling us what is going to be of value. Now, if you look at the image, you see someone coming out of a fog. This is the other perspective of the Gate 62, is that we might start to see sort of the truth behind the fog. You know what I mean? Like that whole veil of confusion may start to clear. We may start to see things that we didn't know were actually happening. And we may be grounded in the idea that we're actually starting to see real tangible things that were hidden away, or that we didn't really get, or concepts that were maybe not so clear to us. Things start to become clearer. So then there's potential to see a lot, for the world to see things a lot clearer, to see what's really going on. Now, if we look at Mercury's in the Gate 61. So we've got a lot of energy just kind of chugging through the energy that we've seen for 2020. It's like the remnants of it. It's like the last caboose of a train kind of going through. Like if you're at a train track and where I used to live in the country, we used to have these train tracks, and you know, if a train was coming, you'd have to stop because it usually went across a road. And so you're watching this train go, and you want it to quickly go through. And then, you know, the 61 and the 60 coming in are saying that's the last caboose of the train. And then we can drive through and go into the 41, which is starting to dream new dreams, the initiating codon. So we're going, Mercury's talking about, again, we know that the sun is going to be transiting in the 61. So people are going to be wanting to know the answers. You know, that's the general consensus. And now we're talking about wanting to know the answers. We're talking about, tell me the truth. What's happening? Where are we going? What's the destination? January 6th, we've got that last little bit of the limitations. So we're going to hear about limitations. Potentially, we're going to hear about, okay, this person, this country, these ones went into another lockdown, potentially. New ways that we're being limited. Closing borders even more. I mean, a lot of borders are already closed, but more of this structures, because Mercury's just starting to go into the gate 60. And when it goes into the gate 60, because the gate 60 straddles two signs between Capricorn and Aquarius, it will start out with the structures of life. And so that's the physical locking down. As it finishes up its transit, it's going to go into Aquarius, which is more about sort of the internet, information online. Also, it has to do with air quality. So it could be like, okay, you know, we want to start limiting how, you know, and that could be masks, because when we think about a mask, we think about a face covering that's preventing our expirations. Every time we breathe out, we're breathing out fine droplets. So maybe there's going to be more mask mandates. Maybe that's what's going to happen. We'll see. We could see the transition from physical lockdowns, talking about physical lockdowns, to, like I said, the mask mandate when it finishes up and goes into Aquarius. Then we go on January 10th, we're going into the gate 41. We already have Jupiter and also Saturn in there. So that means that Mercury is going to conjunct or come together with Jupiter and Saturn. First, it'll come together with Saturn, and then it will come together with Jupiter. This is all about the big dreams, the things that we want to bring into the reality. It's about the initiating codon, the starting block, basically. It's very far away from the head, so, or the throat center. So what that means, it takes a lot of energy to make these dreams happen. So they're just dreams in their infancy. And yet, what's most important is to hold on to these dreams, because that's what it's all about, holding on to those dreams until they can be brought into the real world. Some of the most impressive people in the world, like, who have done some of the most amazing things and brought some of things that we could never have even imagined, have this kind of energy, because they have this energy to hold on to these dreams, to bring these dreams into reality. No matter what's happening in the world, they hold on and know that eventually the timing will be right. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the gate 41. So we might hear about new ideas, new dreams, new ways of doing things. And that could be the energy that we're going to be hearing. Now, if you look at Venus right now, Venus is in the gate 11. This is the gate of ideas. This is a gate of, let's try a lot of more things. And so if you notice, we have a lot of energy of starting new things, new ideas, dreaming new dreams. And so there is this level of positivity that we have. But there's also this concept that we have to understand that none of these energies, like if you think about the gate 11, there is no motor to this energy. There is no motor that says, okay, because when we want to manifest things, having a motor to that energy, or like, it's basically you have a plug point into manifestation, makes things happen. So this is an energy that takes time. Just the gate 11 takes time. The gate 41 takes time. These are things that take time. So yes, have the ideas. Yes, start to dream those impossible dreams, but also understand that there will be work, there will be time, and eventually things will start to pay out. But it doesn't happen overnight. And if you can hold that idea that yes, there will be setbacks, yes, there will be obstacles, but in the end, there's a good chance that things are going to work out for you the way you want them to work out. But again, it's a timing thing. And it really is about this idea of the universe showing you the direction, but also this concept of you're sort of trying to find the light in the darkness. You're trying to, because it does connect to the gate 56, which is all about the stories of life and how they feed into the memories. And so the gate 11 is really trying to find the light in the darkness. But on the flip side, it's only seeing the darkness and not imagining that there is any light. So could there be some level of despair about, and when we're talking about Venus things, we're talking about abundance, we're talking about money, we're talking about beauty. Could we see the beauty, the light in the beauty that we find around us? Can we find the beauty around us, or can we only see darkness and the beauty has left us? And so that's something to keep an eye on and understand that there is beauty around us, but sometimes it's a little harder to find. Beneath the snow are flowers that will grow in the spring. They're there, but you don't see them. And eventually the snow will melt and you will see those flowers again. Now, January 7th, we get into the gate 10, and one of the most important gates, I mean, I always say this, is this empowerment. And by being empowered ourselves, we empower others to feel good about themselves. And so it all begins with loving ourselves. And when we love ourselves, we can love others and others can love themselves. And it's really a domino effect. So it's all about be yourself, love yourself. And when you do, it just spreads. It's like this contagious kind of thing, and in a very good way that starts to help people see that they have purpose, that they have good things in their life, and that they are worthwhile. That is the basic line with this. And we could see in the news maybe some women who are out there, because it is Venus, right? It is it could be about the female or the feminine energy, just seeing feminine energy out there talking about, empowering them, empowering others, or feeling empowered, or those types of things. January 12th, we have the gate 58, which is all about the joy of life. This is all about when we've gone through the holidays, probably not a standard holiday for a lot of people, but for some people it was. And it is really about this idea that, yes, there is joy in life. There is a zest for all the things that are good. There is this idea that, parties are wonderful, but there is also this idea that parties end and then we just have to move on and understand that but life is not always going to be about the fun stuff. There's going to be the hard stuff too. And I think if we can see the duality in all things, that makes it easier for us to understand that the party has come, the party is gone, and now we can move into something new, which means that maybe not necessarily there is some party anymore. And but again, this could be basically just understanding that no matter where you find yourself, if you are in a state of joy or if you're in a state of hopelessness, that there will always be another side to where you feel right now. So wherever you are, it will shift, and that is the beauty of life. There's always a duality. There's always an up. There was always a down. And if we only knew joy, we wouldn't appreciate it as much because we wouldn't know anything else. So it's about the duality and understanding that everything happens and then it changes and life shifts. So this is the energy. And so this could be about, saying, okay, well, I've been having a lot of sweets or chocolate or things that are really like make me feel really happy over the holidays, and now I have to start to think about maybe I need to stop eating the chocolate, or maybe eat less of it, or stop eating all those extra treats, and just kind of get on maybe a routine that makes me feel better health wise. And we look at Mars is finally going to be moving out of Aries. It's been in Aries for about 6 months. And it's been in all sort of the same gates for a long time. Now we're finally finishing up with the beginning of a new cycle. The gate 60 was the end of a cycle, and the gate 3 is the beginning of a cycle. So we know that Mars is starting a brand new cycle. And so a lot of things, again, this is starting energy, trying to make new things happen, growing things. But this kind of growing energy is not something that's easy either. We're talking about energy that you really have to be patient with it, because there is going to be a time perspective of it. Anything from the root is it's a pulse on and it's a pulse off. So in other words, it comes and it's sort of chugging along, and then it will stop for a little while, and it's coming along and then it'll stop for a little while. So this is the kind of energy that we have to remember, because if we don't, we can get frustrated and say, okay, well, it's not working, I want to quit. And there's this level of frustration, and then it's a downward spiral really to believe that nothing that we want will ever come to be, which is not in any way the truth. Mars is going to be moving into the gate 27. It will be coming to meet Uranus very soon, within the next couple of weeks. And I'll talk about that in the future. But ultimately, we're talking about this idea of nourishing the self, caring, those types of things. And so this might be a push to start caring more for what's happening with our food supply, what's happening with our children, what's happening with our bodies. How are we caring for ourselves? How are we caring for others? How are we looking at the world in general? Maybe there's an aggressive kind of need to push some new agendas and say, okay, we need to start taking care of people better. We need to take care of our health. We need to take care of the food supply. We need to take care of all those things. And it could be almost like such a push that it's like almost like a general, kind of like the good general taking care of all his soldiers, or the general that doesn't care about his soldiers, who doesn't care about, or wants to control his soldiers and tell them that they need to do this, that, and the other thing, and not really allow them to have a voice of any kind. So that's the kind of energy. So on the dark side, it could be just this control, and you eat this and you do that, and I'm going to make you do this, and that type of thing. And this sort of stubborn kind of oppressive energy. Or on the high side, it could be like, let's do some things that can make us feel better. Let's improve our life. Let's take better care of ourselves and other people around us. Let's get a better amount of food that we can have that's good for us, that gives us good energy, and we're feeling good, and is for everybody, like this energy of having a balance of taking care of others and allowing others to take care of themselves as well. Now, we talked about Jupiter and Saturn already, and it really is this idea of moving into this brand new energy. So finally, Saturn early this morning went into the gate 41, and it is completely done with the gate 60. As I said before, we will have the little remnants as I just talked about, but for the most part, the big energy is gone through. And so again, this is Jupiter going through, expanding all these big ideas, these big dreams, these big things you want to bring into the world. And then Saturn coming in and saying, okay, that's great and well, but you could say it's like a wet blanket, or you could also say it's the energy that says, you want this to happen. How are we going to make this happen? How are we going to make this happen in a real way? So instead of being a dreamer, we're a visionary. We see things and we want to bring them into the reality rather than just dream about them. So it's a good combination. Like I said, I just feel like Jupiter's going to go in and sort of be seeding all these energies of what we want to start, the new dreams. And then Saturn's going to come in behind and say, okay, this is what we need to do to get these things done. So it's a slow process, because you have to remember Jupiter does move slower and Saturn moves even slower. So, I mean, Saturn's going to be in the gate 41 much longer, which means it's going to take a lot longer to sort of put the energy into making these dreams happen than it is to just think about what they're going to be. So you see what I mean? There's a good balance there. The nodes remain the same. They won't be changing until February. It's all about the entitled leadership and the greater good. So it's all about everybody wins kind of energy. Anybody who isn't in integrity, anybody who is trying to step over people, anybody who is just out for their own gain may be called out at this time. And when we look at the gate 45, where we're going, we're also looking at this idea of, okay, you're our leader. What are you going to do for us? And so there's this idea that we're not going to just sit here anymore and just give and not get anything back. We, the people, need more from our leaders. We will give you this leadership. We will give you this power, but the power needs to be used to help us. And if it's not used to help us, then there could be some repercussions. I mean, this is the energy of the gate 45, because you are supporting the leadership, but you're supporting the leadership with this concept that you do not want to just be supporting the leadership and the leadership isn't supporting you. So this is the energy that we continue to go through. And as I said, till February, and then we'll have a shift of nodes, which I will eventually talk about. Gate 27, we have Uranus in the gate 27. It's going to go direct. So right now, Uranus has been retrograding for a while. Basically, the energy is different when it retrogrades. Now, some people say it's even more pronounced. So unusual ways of eating, unusual ways of nurturing ourselves, unusual ways of giving care, things like that. And we could probably say that that's true. it will start to go forward again. So we might see some changes in the energy at that point. We'll see what happens then. But again, it's going to be sort of in this energy for a while. And so it moves through, because it moves super slow. It's whole cycles, like I think 82 years to go around the whole mandala. So it's a super slow cycle, but it will continue to look at how we're feeding ourselves and how we're taking care of ourselves in unusual ways. And I think I've talked about that a lot, and how 2020 has brought in some of the most incredibly different ways of caring for ourselves that we haven't seen in a very long time. And that will continue to unfold as the time goes on. And this energy will continue to show what it looks like for the whole world, and for wherever you are in your own space. Gate 22, we are going to have energy moving out of Neptune. Neptune was in gate 22 for all of 2020. This is about the grace of suffering, the grace of seeing the beauty within the crisis, seeing the beauty within the suffering, understanding that this too shall pass. And if we are graceful in how we experience our lives in our times of struggle and our times of suffering, we are better for it, in that we are stronger for it, and we do show some level of surmounting our difficulties and coming out on the other side. And it's almost like when you do it this way, when you do have some level of grace, and I'm not saying that every time life hits you with a hard ball that you can just bounce back and just say, oh, that didn't matter. But I'm just saying, if you do it more than you're on the high side more than you are on the low side, then you can always say life hit you, but you kept going, you kept walking through it. And that's a resilience of being human. And when we can remember those kinds of things, and remember the beauty and the creativity, and see, sometimes the way to get through these sufferings, the way to get through this tough times, is through your creativity. What can you do? And I think that if we saw anything, we saw in 2020 people creating food, like they were creating baked goods, baking things that they'd never done before. Some people had never baked anything, and they were making banana bread. And we saw people still creating music that probably they never would have done before. But then they just thought, okay, I have the space, I have the time. Maybe I don't get to go where I wanted to go anymore, and yet I want to create something beautiful. I want to paint something beautiful. And when we create these things, and when we continue to understand that the creations that we make with this gate 22 are creations from our heart, and they don't matter. It doesn't matter if anybody gets it, as long as you get it, as long as you answer the call of your heart and your soul that says, I wanted to make this, and I did, and I feel good for having done it. And that's what matters the most with this kind of creative energy of the gate 22. Create because it feels good for your heart and soul. Create because you want to do it, not because anybody told you to do it, or not because you want approval from anybody. And when you do that, I don't think there's anything that feels better. Pluto remains in the gate 61. Again, the why energy, which we know, that pressure of trying to figure out those answers. So that will continue. Eventually in March, it will start to move into the gate 60, and then we'll see a different type of energy. But for now, we may feel that energy of Pluto transforming. Basically, whatever's left over of these Y energies, these pressures, whatever's left over of this is being dismantled right now. And from the foundation will be built something that was strong, will be stronger than anything that was ever there before. So this is something that we can, yes, there are still things sort of teetering on the edge, getting ready to be finished. But we know that when it's done, and then we can start to rebuild, and there will be new things. And it's a brand new playing field. It's a brand new canvas to paint a new dream on. And that basically is everything I have to say for this week. We'll be back next week with some more transits and all kinds of information about what we're experiencing with the world. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye for now, and I'll see you soon.